Imagine you've been paying into a retirement account for 40 years. Every paycheck, 6.2% automatically deducted. Your employer matches it, 12.4% of your labor. Every year, for 4 decades. You've been told this money is yours, saved, protected, guaranteed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. Your account balance, $2.9 trillion. Now imagine checking your account and discovering there is no account. Every dollar you paid was immediately given to someone else. The vault, empty. What's left are $2.9 trillion in IOUs. Special bonds the government wrote to itself. That's not a nightmare scenario. That's Social Security. And in 2033, the math catches up. 67 million Americans depend on these checks. For half of retirees, it's more than 50% of their income. For 1 in 4, it's more than 90%. And here's what Washington doesn't want you to understand. Social Security isn't a trust fund. It's a Ponzi scheme with a flag. Workers pay retirees. New workers pay those workers. The only difference between Social Security and Bernie Madoff went to prison. Today, we're going to dissect the 5 mechanisms that turned America's retirement promise into the largest Ponzi scheme in history. The promise, the trick, the math, the fix, and the cliff. This isn't conspiracy. This is the Social Security trustees' own report, the CBO's own projections. Math that every politician knows but none will explain. Let's begin. August 14th, 1935. Franklin Roosevelt sits at his desk in the cabinet room of the White House. Cameras flash. Reporters crowd the doorway. With the stroke of a pen, he signs the Social Security Act into law. We can never insure 100% of the population against 100% of the hazards and vicissitudes of life, he says. But we have tried to frame a law which will give some measure of protection to the average citizen. Protection, insurance, security. Those words mattered. Let me introduce you to Margaret. She's 67 years old. Just retired after 45 years as a high school English teacher. She's taught 3 generations of students in the same small town in Ohio. Margaret has been paying into Social Security since 1980. Every paycheck, every year. 45 years of contributions. She expects $2,100 per month. That's what the Social Security Administration told her. That's what her statement shows. I earned this. She tells her daughter, "It's my money. I paid in. Now I'm getting it back." But here's what Margaret doesn't know. Her account is empty. It's always been empty. Social Security was never a savings program. I know. That sounds impossible. We've been told our whole lives that we're contributing to our own retirement, that there's a trust fund with our name on it, that we earn our benefits. But from day one, from that very first payroll tax in 1937, the system worked differently. Here's how it actually operates. Current workers pay taxes. Those taxes immediately go to current retirees. No vault. No investments. No compound interest. The first Social Security taxes were collected in January 1937. The first monthly benefits were paid in January 1940. That's 3 years of contributions before a single check went out. Where did that money go? Spent. Immediately. This was always the design. Workers pay retirees. New workers pay those workers. Round and round. The language was always a lie. Trust fund implies savings. Contributions implies your account. Earned benefits implies you're getting your money back. But there is no account. There never was. You're not withdrawing from a vault. You're receiving transfers from people still working. And as long as the number of workers kept growing faster than the number of retirees, nobody noticed the difference. Which brings us to how they hid it. 1968. Lyndon B. Johnson faces a problem. The Vietnam War is draining the treasury. Billions flowing to Southeast Asia every month. The federal budget deficit looks catastrophic. The kind of number that loses elections. Johnson needs a solution, and his budget team finds one. What if we changed how we count? Here's what they realized. Social Security was running a surplus. More payroll taxes coming in than benefits going out. Baby boomers were entering the workforce. Payments to retirees were relatively small. Before 1968, that surplus was kept separate. Untouchable. Off budget. But what if, and follow me here, what if we counted Social Security's surplus as general revenue? The idea was called the unified budget. Overnight, the federal deficit shrank. On paper, by billions. The Vietnam War deficit suddenly looked 40% smaller. Johnson got his political cover, and Social Security got raided. Let me show you exactly how this works, because this is where the scam becomes clear. You pay $1,000 in payroll taxes. The Treasury Department receives that cash. Real money. Immediately spendable. What happens next? The Treasury spends it. On whatever Congress wants. Defense. Healthcare. Tax cuts. Doesn't matter. But wait. Doesn't that money belong to Social Security? Here's the trick. The Treasury issues special Treasury bonds to the Social Security Trust Fund. These bonds are non-marketable. You can't sell them to anyone. Intragovernmental. The government owes itself. Unfunded. There are no assets backing them. They're IOUs. The government wrote a note to itself saying, "I owe me $1,000. That $2.9 trillion trust fund balance everyone talks about. It's a stack of IOUs. The cash is gone. Every dollar of that $2.9 trillion trust fund, it's not sitting in a vault. It was spent the moment it arrived. On wars. On tax cuts. On everything except saving for retirement. The trust fund isn't a savings account. It's an accounting entry. A promise backed by a promise backed by nothing. But the real problem isn't the trick. The trick just hid the math. The math is the killer. Let me give you 4 numbers. 1950 16 workers for every retiree receiving benefits. 1973.7 workers per retiree. 2024, 2.7 workers per retiree. 2035, 2.0 workers per retiree. Projected. Do you see the trend? Bernie Madoff ran what prosecutors called the largest Ponzi scheme in history. $65 billion in fake returns. 17 years of deception. Here's how it worked. Madoff promised investors 10 to 12% annual returns. Money flowed in. But Madoff wasn't investing. He was taking money from new investors to pay returns to old investors. It worked beautifully, as long as more money came in than went out. When the 2008 financial crisis hit, investors wanted their money back. Withdrawals exceeded deposits. The scheme collapsed. Madoff is serving 150 years in federal prison. Now let's compare. Social Security promises defined benefits. Money flows in through payroll taxes. But Social Security doesn't save or invest that money. It takes money from new workers to pay benefits to current retirees. It works beautifully, as long as more money comes in than goes out. Same structure, same math, same vulnerability. One difference. Madoff went to prison. Social Security is legal. So why is the worker-to-retiree ratio collapsing? 2 words. Baby boomers. 76 million Americans born between 1946 and 1964. The largest generation in American history. They started retiring in 2011. We're now in peak retirement years. 2024 to 2030. Every day, roughly 10,000 boomers hit retirement age. Every single day. But here's the other half of the equation. The birth rate. 1957, 3.7 children per woman. Peak baby boom fertility. 2024, 1.6 children per woman. Below replacement level. We're not making enough workers to support the system. Immigration helps, but not nearly enough to offset the math. You cannot run a pay-as-you-go system when the payers are shrinking and the receivers are exploding. It's not a policy failure. It's arithmetic. A Ponzi scheme works until it doesn't. Madoff lasted 17 years. Social Security has lasted 90. The difference, scale, and forced participation. You can't opt out of payroll taxes. But the math doesn't care about scale. The math doesn't care about government backing. When outflows exceed inflows for long enough, the system breaks. And in 1983, they saw it coming. The worker-to-retiree ratio was already declining. The trust fund was heading toward zero. So Congress assembled a commission, a blue-ribbon panel of experts. And they fixed it. 1983. Social Security faces imminent insolvency. Headlines scream crisis. President Reagan appoints Alan Greenspan, future Federal Reserve Chairman, to lead a bipartisan commission. Their mission saves Social Security. 6 months later, they announce success. Congress passes the reforms. Reagan signs them into law. Headlines declare Social Security saved. But was it? Let me introduce you to the 1983 worker. Maybe that's your parent. Maybe that's you. In 1983, this worker was told, "We're fixing Social Security. We need you to pay a little more now so benefits will be secure later." Here's what the Greenspan Commission did. Raise the payroll tax from 10.8% to 12.4%. That extra 1.6% every year for the rest of your working life. Delayed full retirement age from 65 to 67. Phased in gradually. Created a surplus. By raising taxes and delaying benefits, Social Security would collect more than it paid out. For decades, the promise was clear. That surplus would be saved. It would build up. When the baby boomers retired, we'd have the money. The 1983 worker believed it. Paid extra for 40 years. Reality, that surplus was spent immediately. Same IOU trick. Bigger scale. Here's what actually happened. From 1983 to 2010 surplus years. More payroll taxes coming in than benefits going out. Just as planned. But where did that surplus go? It went to the general fund. Spent on whatever Congress wanted. Defense. Medicare. Tax cuts. Everything. The trust fund received IOUs. Paper promises. 2010. The turning point. For the first time since the 1983 reforms, Social Security paid out more than it collected. Now we're in redemption mode. Every month, the trust fund cashes in some of those IOUs. But here's the catch: those IOUs aren't money. They're promises. To honor those promises, the Treasury has to borrow real money. Every redeemed bond adds to the national debt. The 1983 fix didn't save Social Security. It just delayed the reckoning by 50 years. And those 50 years are almost up. The Greenspan Commission was genius. Political genius. They raise taxes on workers. They cut future benefits through retirement age increases. They created the illusion of a savings plan. And they ensured the crisis would hit long after everyone involved was out of office or dead. The 1983 worker trusted them, paid extra for 40 years, and in 2033 may wake up to find the promise broken. Because in 2033, the trust fund hits zero. According to the 2025 Social Security Trustees Report, the official government projection, the Old Age and Survivors Insurance Trust Fund will be exhausted in 2033. Not might be, not could be, will be, under current projections. What happens when the trust fund hits zero? No more IOUs to redeem. The IOU machine stops. By law, Social Security can only pay benefits equal to incoming payroll taxes. Nothing more. The projected shortfall 23%. Automatic benefit cut. No vote required. No warning. Meet Jason. He's 35 years old. Software engineer. Peak earning years. Every paycheck, 6.2% goes to Social Security. His employer adds another 6.2%. That's $15,000 per year in payroll taxes. Jason's retirement age 67. That's the year 2056. According to Social Security's calculators, Jason can expect about $2,500 per month in benefits. In today's dollars, but let's do some math. In 2033, the trust fund empties. Jason will be 42. If nothing changes, benefits automatically drop 23%. Jason's projected benefit, now $19.25. But that's assuming things don't get worse. The worker-to-retiree ratio keeps falling. By 2056, when Jason retires, it could be below 2 to 1. Jason isn't paying into his own retirement. He's paying Margaret's retirement. And there may be no one left to pay his. Think this can't happen in America. Look around the world. Greece. 2010. Pension crisis forces cuts of 40% or more. Retirement age hiked. Riots in the streets. Argentina. 2001. Government seizes private pension funds to pay debts. Retirees lose everything. Venezuela. Hyperinflation renders pensions worthless. A month's benefit buys a few meals. Japan. Aging population forces retirement age towards 70. Benefits shrinking. Every country that promised more than it could deliver eventually broke that promise. America isn't special. Math is universal. The only variable is timing. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. The question isn't if benefits get cut. The question is by how much and when. Congress could act. They could raise taxes, cut benefits, raise retirement age. Some combination. They've known about this for decades. They've done nothing. But here's the thing. You still have time. Not to fix the system. You can't fix it. But to prepare yourself. Let me be clear about something. This isn't panic. This is preparation. You wouldn't board a plane with a 23% chance of engine failure without a contingency plan. But you might check the emergency exits. You might pay attention to the safety briefing. Social Security isn't a guarantee. It's a probability. And smart people plan for probabilities. The worst outcome isn't a benefit cut. The worst outcome is being surprised by one. First, understand your personal math. Go to ssa.gov. Create an account. Look at your projected benefits. Now discount them. Don't plan for 100% of promised benefits. Plan for 75 to 80%. Calculate the gap. That's what you need to cover. If you have time, Say, under 50. Max out tax-advantaged accounts. 401k. IRA, HSA. These are tools that exist right now. Build income streams outside the system. Real estate. Dividends. Side businesses. Consider geographic arbitrage. Your social security check, whatever it ends up being, goes further in some places than others. If you're close, 50 to 65. Delay claiming if possible. Every year you wait past 62. Your benefit grows about 8%. That's guaranteed return. Build a cash buffer. 3 to 5 years of expenses in liquid assets. If cuts come, you need runway. Diversify income sources now. Don't let Social Security be your only leg. If you're already retired, plan for the cut scenario. What would 23% less look like for you? Know your backup options. Reverse mortgage, part-time work, family support. Don't assume current payments continue forever. They might. They might not. Look, I need to say this. Countries have recovered from pension crises. Germany reformed its system. Sweden reformed its system. It's possible. Congress could act. They could find the political will to raise taxes. Adjust benefits. Or both. The problem is solvable. But possible isn't guaranteed. And your retirement is too important to leave to politicians who've done nothing for 40 years. Hope for the best. Prepare for the probable. Remember Margaret, the 67-year-old, who earned her benefits. She's real. She's your neighbor. She's your mother. Maybe she's you. Margaret paid in for 45 years. She trusted the system. She believed the language. And in 2033, she might wake up to find her $2,100 check is now $1,617. Not because she did anything wrong, not because she didn't work hard, but because someone told her a beautiful lie for 50 years, and she believed it. Social Security was never a trust fund. It was a promise. A promise made by politicians who would be dead before the bill came due. A promise funded by IOUs. The government wrote to itself. A promise that depends on workers who were never born. The bill is coming due. The question is whether you'll be ready. If this analysis helped you understand what's coming, hit the like button. It helps more people see the math that politicians don't want to explain. For more on America's debt spiral, check out our video on the $36 trillion national debt. Same math. Same trajectory. Same silence. Subscribe if you haven't. We release new analysis every week. This is the Economic Realist. Don't let the Ponzi bite. See you in the next one.